only been about half an hour since Australia's Test captain announced he's quitting on the eve of the Ashes series over a sexting allegation. He says the text exchange had been previously investigated by CA. Cricket Australia has confirmed that is the case. Why is he going now?
I suppose it's the court of public opinion. This was going to be made public. In fact, it was made public on news.com.au a short time before Tim Paine made his address. And so he probably had to weigh up the scandal that was going to erupt around him, and this will be a huge scandal, of course, and weigh that up with the role of continuing to be the Australian captain. Obviously, he said he was exonerated by Cricket Australia, but there's also the court of public opinion, knowing that every time he faced the media, he would get questions about this, his family would be dragged through it all too, and he probably decided in the greater interest, as he said, that it wasn't the best thing to do, and so he decided to stand down in tears, as we just saw, as the Australian cricket captain. And Kirsten, bearing in mind, he took over from Steve Smith, of course, with the Sandpaper Gate scandal, when Steve Smith resigned as Australian cricket captain in tears, and Tim Paine took over the job in 2018. This apparent sexting incident took place just a few months earlier in 2017, apparently just when he was about to return to the Australian cricket team. And Kirsten, just very recently too, we do have some more information about this story, and it comes from Cricket Tasmania, who've also released a statement. They said the allegations raised against Tim Paine were by a former Cricket Tasmania employee. They only came to the attention of Cricket Tasmania in 2018, when that employee was when formal charges of theft were laid against that employee. They hadn't come up at the time. Apparently, those charges against that former employee are still pending. So it's a strange old tale, but it's just resulted in the shock resignation, a stunning resignation, one that no one saw, of the Australian cricket captain.
Do you expect Cricket Australia will face some questions, more questions, because it did appoint him as captain after this incident?
We don't know the exact time frame of when the incident came to light. The Cricket Tasmania statement suggests that it came to light at some point in the middle of 2018, so that might have been after Tim Paine was appointed. The Cricket Tasmania statement also makes the point that the actions were consensual between two mature adults. So Cricket Tasmania made the decision that it wasn't warranting any further action, which seems to be much the same kind of tenor that we get from the Cricket Australia statement, that the Integrity Unit investigated the matter and decided that while it didn't condone the type of language or the type of behaviour, it wasn't worthy of warranting action. So we don't know actually whether at the time he was made captain, whether they knew of this incident, but they did decide in any case that it wasn't that important. He was exonerated, and therefore he was able to continue as the Australian captain.
Cricket Australia has had a few tough years, hasn't it? In terms of this timeline, it's been quite busy dealing with a number of successive scandals.
Well, of course, I mean, the Sandpaper scandal was probably one of the biggest ones in Australian cricket, second only perhaps to the World Series cricket revolution in terms of upending the game as we know it. And so a lot of credit has been given to Tim Paine in his job, the job he took on as the Australian captain in what was an incredibly tumultuous time, along with Aaron Finch, who became the one-day and T20 captain, and of course just led Australia to the T20 World Championships, and Justin Langer too, as the coach of all the teams. So Tim Paine has got a lot of plaudits for the role he's played as the Australian captain in stabilising what was a very rocky ship. They brought Steve Smith and David Warner back into the side, and they've been quite successful. Many people were thinking this Ashes series, which is coming up in just a month or so, would potentially be Tim Paine's last. And so it would have been his swan song. To go out on these terms was obviously incredibly devastating for him, as we saw him in tears just then. He did say, though, that he is available for selection in the Australian cricket team, and Cricket Australia says he will continue to be available for selection. So there is a chance he will play a further 5 tests, which could potentially end his Test cricket career.
How is this going to affect the rest of the Ashes squad?
Oh, look, I'm sure they're going to be all shocked and stunned as everyone else is. I mean, we don't know whether any of the others knew of this information. We can only guess, and it's really not worthwhile doing that. But I think the fact that they were going to go into an Ashes series, assuming that their captain of the past 3 or 4 years, Tim Paine, would be the captain again, is going to be stunning, and it will involve a massive shift, and not least of which is going to be who will captain the Australian cricket team in this Ashes series. I mean, it's a huge job. It's the biggest series that Australian cricket is involved in, and it's a huge job for whoever takes it on. There is Steve Smith around. He could potentially take the job. He had it before, but of course he was stripped of the captaincy after the sandpaper scandal, and many people would see that it would be very unlikely for him to get the job again. So if it's Patrick Cummins, the fast bowler who's the current vice captain and many people have seen as the captain in waiting, to step in as the captain of the Australian cricket team at such a tumultuous time in such an important series would be a huge job. So that's going to be fascinating to see how that all plays out.